I'm Dr. Julie Galvin from the Galvin Growth Group, and I'm here with Dr. Elizabeth Snyder, also from the Galvin Growth Group. I'm a psychologist who has been working in the field for over 30 years. I've spent most of my time working with kids and adolescents. I also work with adults. I spent the first 25 years in the schools and then also many years in the private practice setting. And this is Dr. Snyder. Would you like to talk a little bit about your background as well?
Yeah, so we have really similar backgrounds in that, right? I'm trained as a school psychologist. My training took place both in the schools and in the private practice. And although right now I do work with kids through adults, my passion is really working with kids and parents especially. I really love, that parent coaching connection that we do in our practice, helping parents understand, working with their kids and their teenagers especially, which is what we're going to be talking about today. So
what we're going to do is present a video series on a book that we love in our practice. It's called Untangled. It's by Dr. Lisa Damour. She's also a psychologist who has worked with kids and adolescent girls. And this book helps us understand the 7 developmental strands that teenage girls navigate, and its importance of successfully navigating those stages so that they can be well-adjusted young adults. And we have found it so helpful for us as clinicians, and we've shared it with many parents, and it's just really changed how we work and how parents support their kids. And we thought it would be fun to put the series together to go through the book as, again, as clinicians, but also for you guys as parents to kind of talk about the normalcy of teenage girl development and what's normal and when it's time to worry. Dr. Snyder, do you want to talk a little bit more about the book and those strands that they go through?
Yeah. So this is a book that I love, and I have my copy here. So if you don't have a copy yet, right, you can pick one up. I know we both listen to it on audio too, and have our physical copies. But the book itself talks about, like you said, these 7 developmental strands that teenage girls have to go through, from about that middle school time until, right, they graduate and they're off to college or their careers or the military, wherever they choose to go. So getting them from childhood to adulthood and these 7 strands that it takes to get there, and how girls can be developing unevenly, right? Like they could be, really progressing maybe in some independent skills, but struggling with emotions, or, doing all the dishes one day and all their homework, but then not being able to make a phone call the next day, and how it is really uneven. And the book kind of conceptualizes that with these strands, and how you can be far along in one strand, but not so far along in another strand. And it makes sense when you can understand adolescence in this concept. So that's really how the book breaks things down. It goes chapter by chapter through each of the strands. I'm talking about when girls might typically be moving through these strands, but how there's so much variation in that, and really trying to normalize a lot of what adolescence is, because it is kind of, right, that transition crazy period we always talk about, but a lot of it is within normal range. A lot of the concerns that parents have tend to be things that we would consider to be relatively normal. So talking about when that's okay, and then also when there might be time for concern, like when are the red flags showing, when should you seek additional support and help with your adolescent girl. So that's kind of what the book talks about. That's what we're going to be talking about each week in our video series, going through, talking about the book, reflecting on it, asking each other questions, answering your questions, diving in deeper, providing some resources. We're going to have a blog connected to our discussion on our website, galvingrowthgroup.com, that will have some of the content from the book and some of the resources there too, along with what we discuss each week. So it's going to be really fun and really exciting, and I'm hoping that everyone will learn a little bit of it along with us.
We encourage you to like us and follow us, share questions, comments along the way as you read the book with us. So we'll do one chapter a week, Please feel free to chime in, and we'll pick up your questions and comments as we come together each week after we've read that next chapter. So it should be a fun summer. I think clinicians and parents will find this really helpful. And you don't have to be a parent of a teenage girl either. The author, Dr. D'Amour, talks about how this book can pertain to adolescent boys too. They too are developing skills along these strands, and it can be helpful for any parent of a teenager. So we hope you'll enjoy it as much as we have, and we're looking forward to meeting you and talking about the first developmental strand next week, which is called Parting with Childhood. Please join us. Thank you so much.
Yep, we'll see you there.